Thanks for joining us. We're following breaking news right now. A man has been arrested in connection with the shooting death of 2 Ferguson police officers in Ferguson, Missouri. Police say this security camera here at McGrady's Irish Pub spotted Hannah walking east on Grady Avenue around 12:46 Saturday morning. Chip, did you see that on Thursday and Friday? The rain starts coming in. Mother Nature must be a basketball fan. What's your reaction to this?
I'm obviously very disappointed that we couldn't bring this home for our client today, and we will appeal.
Is there anything you would have done different?
I can't think of it right now.
Where they have the front pages of newspapers from all across the country posted outside. The headlines really read just about the same. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette says GOP takes U.S. Senate. Out of Texas, the Austin American-Statesman calls it a GOP landslide. We start with continuing coverage this morning as we learn more about the AirAsia plane that went missing overnight. Look at that rabbit go. Did you see him on the...
Little dolly.
Yeah, and no legs that work, but it was on the wheels. Happening right now, dozens of VCU fans are gathered outside the Siegel Center waiting for the Rams to arrive home after winning that big championship game in Brooklyn. This scene here at the Mark Warner campaign headquarters is very different than what it was just a couple of hours ago. Christina, good evening to you. Yeah, a wild scene here in Richmond just a couple of hours ago. I want you to take a look behind me. Look at this pile of mess that's left behind. That SUV plowed through this resident's fence here in their backyard. Luckily, no one was hurt here, but the car kept going. Here in the side yard, you can still see the tire tracks and ruts left here in the grass, but things came to a quick and abrupt end when that SUV slammed into this tree. Potholes, potholes, potholes. If you thought they were bad after last week's storm, well, bad news. Check them out. They've only gotten worse. Many of you say you've received damage to your car just by hitting these pesky holes. Well, good news. Now, the money to fix that damage to your car may not have to come out of your own pocket. Residents are calling him the Jeff Davis Bandit, a robber hitting stores up and down Jefferson Davis Highway. One of those locations here at La Tapatia on Jeff Davis Highway. From there, headed south. The next location would be here at Papa John's, but the crime spree continues, still headed south to this exxon. According to police, the suspect hit here twice. Inside this home lives a man many would call a hero. Meet William Cromer. At age 87, Cromer says he's lived the good life. Serving in World War II, Cromer now can barely walk. He uses a wheelchair to get around his house and a Stairmaster to even reach his bedroom. The very bedroom that seemed to become a scene straight out of a horror film.
I knew somebody breaking in, and I was afraid to get up. They broke to the glass in the door and reached in and unlocked the door and came on in.
Mr. Cromer says he then heard footsteps sneaking up his stairs, but when they got to the hallway, 4 men barged into his room and proceeded to terrorize him right here in his bed for the next 3 hours.
They kept slapping me, knocking me over, knocking me back, and he stuck that gun, it's a .45, into my mouth. I said, man, I got false teeth. I said, why you want to break my false? He kept shoving it. And he said, I said, open the mouth. So I opened it as far as I could, and he turned the gun sideways and stuck it in my mouth. He said, I've asked you where you hide your money in this house. I know you got money in here.
Cromer says he then started begging for his life.
I said, you can see I'm a cripple. I'm almost 190 years old. I'm trying to, I'll help y'all if you want me to. Yeah. Anyway, well, tell me where your money is at. I said, the only money I got is in my pants in that chair right there.
Cromer says they took the few dollars that he had in his pant pocket. They stole his car keys, his car, his cell phone, and various other items from his house. He said just when he thought they were about to leave, they threw him on the floor.
And I was on my stomach, and then they took the mattress and brought it over and put it on top of me and stomped it down.
Before they left, one of the men made a chilling prediction.
He said, and I got the mattress over top of him. He can't breathe. He said he'll probably die.
Cromer was left to die. He says he prayed for a miracle and believes he got one. Still bound in tape, unable to walk due to previous surgeries, and with blood dripping from head to toe, Cromer had a will to survive.
And I got up on the bed and put my elbows up there. I said, man, God, help me to get up on this bed, get up on my feet so I can try to walk. And the first time I walked in months.
Cromer eventually reached his stair climber and made it outside and crawled to a neighbor's house for help. As for the suspects, tonight, they are still on the run. A thick plume of black smoke could be seen for miles as the skeleton of a boat lie in ruins.
Chaotic. Firefighters everywhere, hoses, people panicking.
The owner had just gone below the deck to check on the engine when the inferno broke out.
And I heard a boom go off, and I turned around and the boat was on fire.
An eyewitness who was just about to purchase the vessel rushed to help and then snapped this photo. Milton Emery dialed 911.
He jumped out and jumped in the water, and when he came up on the dock, I could see he had real bad burns and stuff on his arms.
The owner suffered severe second and third degree burns and was flown to a nearby hospital. As the fire started to spread, the fear then turned to neighboring boats.
My boat was parked right beside it. I was thinking it was going up in flames.
Owners rushed to move their boats, some still receiving minor damage. Nearly 300 gallons of gasoline were on board, now flowing freely into the Appomattox River.
The best method to deal with this type of hazardous situations is to let it burn off so it doesn't continue to stay and remain in the river.
As dusk crept in, smoke could still be seen rising from the ashes. The attention solely focused on a fellow captain's recovery.
Just devastated. Our hearts go out to him.
Really nice guy and very, very concerned for his well-being.
This is the story of a rodeo cowboy and his will to survive, and the decision between life and limb.
It was a completely normal Monday morning. I remember seeing him standing there at his dresser, and I just said, "Kyle, I love you so much."
September 15th, 2014.
Went into work and ended up going out helping a crew out on the rail.
Just over a year since Kyle and Samantha Hannon said "I do."
I was walking down that track. He had sent the train down the track I was walking down.
Kyle Hannon never saw it coming.
Train came up, hit me from behind, knocked me down to the ground, pinned me under the wheels with my legs.
The train dragged Kyle for more than 50 yards.
When the train hopped up over me, the guy running the train saw the rail car hop up, and when he saw it hop, he realized something wasn't right.
Kyle's legs were mangled, his body rapidly losing blood.
You know, everything was a split second, but as it was dragging me, it felt like hours.
When my parents first showed up at my back door, I definitely knew something was wrong, and it was serious.
Kyle was taken by MedFlight to VCU Medical Center. During the flight, he feared the worst.
Thinking that I wouldn't get to see her again, thinking that I would never get to see my daughter.
The daughter that he's talking about is his unborn daughter. You see, at the time of the accident, Samantha is supposed to be on bed rest. She's pregnant 38 weeks in.
Going to the hospital, I thought he could be dead. When I walk in here, they could tell me that he's dead.
We get a call that there's a sick patient coming. He was under a train that was dragged.
Kyle's life was placed in the hands of Dr. Paula Ferrata.
The legs are mangled. He's very sick. He has an estimated mortality that is really high. We just need to save his life and stop bleeding.
As Dr. Ferrata's team worked to stop the bleeding, she knew a decision had to be made.
I needed to talk to the family because I knew that it's devastating to have to cut somebody's legs, but it was a life and death situation. We needed to decide. And then I realized that Samantha was pregnant, which made it even more stressful situation.
I think when you're on your way for a 30-minute drive to Richmond, that I actually believed that he was dead, or that he was going to die. So to get in there and have her come in and say, "He's alive, he just doesn't have his legs anymore," it was a relief. I was so happy. I was so grateful that he was alive.
It's never a hard decision to decide between life or death. Life always wins.
While one life still hung in the balance, another life, a new life, was quickly on her way.
The original plan was to have the baby at another hospital, and I had to make the choice that obviously Kyle was not going to be able to leave critical care and come with me.
That was the biggest thought going through my mind was, am I going to be there for my daughter?
It came to me that it was important that we treated the family as a whole, and then since that moment start planning to get him well enough so he could see the birth of their first daughter. and to get her in our health system so she could be here and they could be together for that key moment in their lives and their family.
13 short days after the accident, Samantha gave birth lying in a hospital bed right beside her cowboy. She delivered a healthy cowgirl.
We were just bed to bed the whole time, side by side. He was there for the entire thing.
It meant the world to me to be there, and I'll never forget, as long as I live, the moment that they set her down on me. I mean, I burst into tears as soon as they did, just because I was so happy that, you know, I was able to make it there, that I was there for that moment.
And now 8 months later, Kyle is back to his old self. Yes, that's him cutting grass with prosthetic legs.
I absolutely thought that she wouldn't have a father, that she would never meet him.
And if you ask Kyle if he's bitter or angry, he'll tell you not a chance.
The fact that I'm here now, you know, I couldn't feel more blessed. I couldn't feel luckier to be here now. Me getting run over by the train was not the end of the line, you know. It was not, this is my life now, you know. I'm not stuck to be this guy that people need to feel sorry for, you know. There's so many opportunities out there to where I'll be able to keep up with everyone.
There's a real chance that he could have missed life and the rest of years that they have together. The fact that he's alive and well and already recovering and walking and taking care of her daughter is near a miracle.
Sunset Grill in Goochland County is known for serving up fun, but today it's been converted into our laboratory, the experiment finding out if these 3 devices, who all claim to be able to give you an accurate breathalyzer, actually work. Our test subjects, 3 local celebrities. You may not recognize their faces, but maybe it's their voices you're more familiar with.
Richmond's home for Classic Rock. Good morning, Brady, 924.
103.7 Play Mornings with Melissa and Jack. Good morning.
We've got the booze, the test subjects. Only thing we're missing.
Just drink like you normally would.
That's right. These radio DJs are having the 5-0 crash their party. Time to let the drinks start flowing. Let the testing begin.
Yeah.
We let Melissa, Jack, and Brady drink whatever they wanted, even fed them some bar favorites. They downed beer, they took shots.
Here we go.
Jack even fell in love with something pink.
Cheers to you.
While they drank the noon hour away, we chatted with deputies from the Goochland County Sheriff's Department who had agreed to use their professional breathalyzer test as our benchmark.
You know, anything that keeps people who've had too much drink off the road is fine with us.
Sheriff Agnew says their breathalyzer isn't admissible evidence in court, but
the device we use on the side of the road can often make the difference between arresting someone and not arresting someone.
Time's up. An hour and a half later, we made our last call.
We will have a 20-minute waiting period from their last drink to the time we try it so that all the residual alcohol in their breath and mouth will dissipate.
Both apps recommended waiting at least 15 minutes. 20 minutes later, let the testing begin. First up, Melissa Chase from 103.7 Play.
I think I'm .09.
We started with the Alkahoot device. It's a small device that connects to your phone through the headphone jack. Deep breath. Blow. All right. Seconds later.
Survey says .09. What's
So
up?
you're over the legal limit, according to this. Next, time to test the backtrack. It is a handheld device that connects to your phone over Bluetooth. Melissa blows in this one, and her results, .097.
They're very close.
Next, for $5, you can buy a safe and sound breathalyzer. They're sold at several local stores. For this one, we asked Melissa to read the directions and test herself, just like you would do on a night out.
Inflate the bag with one big breath. I'm supposed to do this at a bar, drunk? Okay.
We gave Melissa a couple of minutes to try and figure it out, but I ended up having to step in and help, as the directions seemed a bit confusing for someone who may be impaired.
I did exactly what it said.
We grabbed a new tester because Melissa broke the first one.
Just blow into it?
Blow.
Now what happens? But See, you're here to tell me. If I was like at a bar trying to decide if I was safe enough to drink home, and you weren't there, how am I supposed to know if I'm sober enough? Drive home. Obviously, I won't be driving home.
For this test, the crystals are supposed to turn green past the black line if you're above 0.08, which is the legal limit in Virginia.
It's a lot of work. I'll just call a cab.
The crystals were kind of hard to read, but it does appear some turned green, but not quite enough to pass the black line.
All right.
Finally, it was the police officer's turn.
Blowing here like you're blowing up a balloon.
Her results, 0.074. Next up, Brady D'Angelo from 96.5. First test, Alcahoot. 0.087, so according to this, you're over the legal limit to drive.
Okay.
He then blew a .093 on the backtrack, indicating over the legal limit. And with the crystals, they were hard to read again, but didn't seem to indicate he was over the limit.
All right.
As for the police breathalyzer, Brady registered a .073, still technically under the legal limit of .08. Last but not least, Jack Lauterbach, also with 1073 play. He again starts with the Alcahoot. .097. Now the backtrack. .11 on the backtrack.
Yikes.
You feel like that's about what you are?
Yeah.
You couldn't drive.
No, I definitely couldn't drive.
With the safe and sound, Jack also said figuring it out on his own while impaired was challenging. He too broke it.
What am I missing here, Parker?
But once I stepped in and helped out, we gave him the test, and this time green crystals were very easy to see and clearly passed the black line. But what would the police say?
.094. So I should definitely not be driving right now. No.
Comparing the police device to all of our app tests, the apps always showed the blood alcohol level was higher than what the police device actually showed. A result police say they are pleased with.
I think it's good that they read higher than our PBT does, so it's an extra safety feature that they have to make sure they're not over-intoxicated when they're driving.
I reached out to both app companies for a comment. Alcahoot sent me a statement that read in part, quote, "The results of your informal trial were very positive, and the variance in the readings relatively minor." Backtrack responded saying, quote, "We stand by the consistency and accuracy of Backtrack Mobile." As for Safe and Sound, I've talked to the company twice. They tell me they're going to send a statement. However, I've yet to receive it. And as for our radio DJs, we picked up their tab and made sure they all got a safe ride home.
Good Morning Richmond Early Edition starts now.
Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us on Good Morning Richmond Weekend Edition. I'm Parker Slaybaugh. Amanda Malkowski has the morning off. We'll get to your top stories in just a moment, but first let's get a check on the forecast with Matt. Good morning, Matt.
Well, good morning, Parker.
Thanks, Matt. We start with continuing coverage this morning as we learn more about the Air Asia plane that went missing overnight. Search and rescue operations are underway right now for the plane that was carrying 162 people. That jet, which looks similar to this jet you're looking at there, lost contact with ground control shortly after taking off from Indonesia on its way to Singapore. Authorities say they believe that they lost contact when the plane was over the Java Sea, roughly 40 minutes after takeoff. They also say the weather in the area was cloudy. Exactly 1 week after he and his partner were gunned down in their patrol car, New York police officer Rafael Ramos was laid to rest on Saturday. Thousands paid their respects to the fallen officer, including Vice President Biden. Ramos was known as a man of faith. He was just hours away from graduating from a community crisis chaplaincy program. At the service, Commissioner Bill Bratton announced Ramos would receive 2 new titles, Detective First Grade and Honorary Department Chaplain for the 84th Precinct. Coming up at our next half hour, we'll have more on yesterday's service. Meanwhile, about 100 people gathered in Denver yesterday for a Blue Lives Matter rally. This all to show support for law enforcement. This is one of many held across the country. The group shared stories of positive experiences they've had with police officers. Similar rallies were held in Cleveland and in New Jersey. Turning to news where you live in Richmond, a bicyclist was hit by a truck on Turner Road. It happened here around 5:30 yesterday evening in front of the New Life Outreach International Church. Police tell us the cyclist was taken to the hospital, but is expected to be okay. We're told the driver is facing charges. News where you live now in Petersburg. Police are looking for the person in this surveillance picture who they say robbed the 7-Eleven store on South Boulevard at gunpoint. The robbery happened yesterday morning. No one was hurt, but the suspect did leave with an unknown amount of cash. If you can help, call Petersburg Police. Now to the latest in the UVA rape scandal. Alumni from the university are raising money to provide an attorney for sexual assault survivors. The Sexual Assault Advocacy Fund raised more than $31,000 from nearly 400 people since November. They used the website crowdrise.com. The fund was launched after the Rolling Stone article described an alleged gang rape at a fraternity house in 2012. The magazine has since apologized for what it calls discrepancies in the alleged victim's account. News where you live now in Chesterfield, where residents were told they have to move out of their homes in just over a month. More than 100 people have to leave the Road Runner campgrounds off Jefferson Davis Highway. 8 News reporter Claudia Rupsich has more on how health violations are the cause for the evictions. That was Claudia Rupsich reporting. Now, the County Social Services Department did send out a list of potential housing options for residents. Still, many remain hopeful they'll get more time or hope that they won't have to move at all.